Governor Eric Holcomb wants to spend more than $5 billion new dollars in Indiana's next budget on everything from education to public health and economic development initiatives. Holcomb unveiled his 2023 agenda this week, and as Indiana Public Broadcasting's Brandon Smith reports, it's the most ambitious of his 6 years in office.
While Holcomb's proposed agenda spans a variety of subjects, he says they all rest on a foundation of good government.
In terms of public safety, in terms of public health, in terms of public education, in terms of community development, in terms of infrastructure connections.
The big ticket items are spending more than $1 billion new dollars on K-12 education, boosting public health funding by more than $300 million, and spending $500 million on READY, the governor's economic development initiative. The next step? Getting lawmakers to go along with all of that.
We think that they're not just legitimate, we think that they're needed, which helps us not be cocky about it, but confident that we can be persuasive.
But while Holcomb's budget proposal represents a major increase in spending over the last state budget, it appears that it doesn't quite keep up with increases in inflation over the last 2 years. So are state government and schools going to be left still trying to catch up to the pressures of inflation?
I think Indiana has done one of the better jobs, quite frankly, in the country in addressing not just inflation, but a potential recession by our fiscal stewardship, making sure that we're living within our means.
Holcomb's proposals also include eliminating textbook fees for all public and charter school students, increasing the Indiana State Police starting salary to $70,000 a year, and spending $75 million on trail expansion and land conservation.
We're joined now by State House reporter Brandon Smith for more on this year's session, which begins Monday. Hello, Brandon. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
All right, so how realistic is it that Holcomb will get what he wants in this session?
Well, I think lawmakers will support a fair amount of what the governor is proposing. What's less likely is that he'll get all of the funding amounts he wants, right? So I could see the legislature backing the READY grants, public health funding, mental health funding, economic development dollars in some form, significant education increases, but likely not all at the levels that Holcomb has proposed.
So we heard in your story that education a big priority for the governor.
Right. Well, K-12 education alone accounts for more than 50% of the state budget. If you add in higher education, it's closer to 60%. So education is always a priority, but particularly these last few years, increasing teacher salaries has been a major push of the governor's, and getting those salaries higher again is part of this funding proposal.
Holcomb is also proposing a big boost to public health. Can you tell us more?
Right. It's the result of a 2-year commission that he formed to study the public health system. This really comes out of the pandemic, shining a brighter spotlight on how poorly funded that system is here in Indiana. Holcomb has also stressed, though, that this is not a state takeover of the public health system.
This is in an effort to support that government closer to you, and you got to be involved from a local perspective as well and hold them accountable.
So Brandon, another area of focus was economic development with more money for READY grants made available. I talked to many mayors. They love this program.
Absolutely. It's incredibly popular among local government and private sector leaders, as well, quite frankly, as a lot of state lawmakers. Now, can the legislature afford to put the $500 million into it that the governor has asked for? Maybe not, but there's little doubt in my mind that they will put more money into it this year.
So now the Republicans and Democrats haven't released their agendas yet, but what do you expect to be some of their priorities this coming week?
Well, there's definitely some crossover with the governor from both parties, quite frankly. Everything begins with the budget. Education, again, is top of mind within that. Mental health supports is clearly a priority of the Republican caucuses and long has been for Democratic caucuses. Beyond that, we'll find out soon.
All right, Brandon, we look forward to your coverage beginning Monday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.